One question, two answers, three takeaways. This is The Process with Brad Borland and Mike McKinnis. All right, in today's episode, a little bit different. We're going to shift gears just a little bit. It's just more of one of our emerging favorite things to do is to ask each other what our top 3, 4, or 5 things are, and they're going to be a lot of different subjects coming up. But this one specifically, I wanted to talk a little bit about, since we are over 50. Dare I say?
Yeah.
There are things in our training, our routines, our programs that we just don't do anymore. Not really out of, well, some of it could be out of favoritism over this or that, but some of it's over, I just don't feel comfortable doing this or that exercise. Could be an injury, could be a lot of different things. So we want to get into that. So Mike and I came up with our top 4. It might be more exercises on my list, but we settled on 4 each. 4 exercises we don't do anymore, but we're going to actually explain why we don't do them. And then if we have something that replaced it, maybe we have an alternate move, or maybe we modified something a little bit with that exercise. So with that said, I wanted to hand it off to you, Mike.
Okay.
What is one of your exercises you just don't do anymore?
Yeah.
And I want to know why.
Well, I'll tell you, this particular one I have not done in probably 20 years. At least I was smart enough to get rid of it back then. And that's a regular barbell bench. It's funny because when you work out and somebody asks you about it, what's the first thing they always ask you?
How much
How
you
much do you bench? That's the number one question you get asked if you go to the gym. So when I was coming up, that was the thing. Everybody benched. You just loaded it up and did as much as you could. But I've dealt with shoulder issues with both shoulders for years, and it just got to where when I would bench heavy, I would hurt, and it wasn't like a good muscle hurt; it was a joint hurt. And so I said, I cut them out about 20 years ago, and I do strictly dumbbells on everything.
You do flat dumbbell press,
Yeah, I do. I
just
do
not the
flat dumbbells
barbell.
because here's why. Where a traditional barbell holds you in that strict area where you can't really move. With a dumbbell, I can find my groove. I can find where
Yep.
it fits me when I go down and up, where I'm not pinching and hurting on my joints.
But there's no ego with dumbbells, Mike. Now, come on.
That's true. Well, it's funny because, like I said, years ago, when people would always ask, "What do you bench?" You wanted to say, "Oh, you want to throw a
Yeah.
huge number at them to impress them," but I just don't care about that.
Yeah.
I would much rather like be fit, and I like to lift heavy, but heavy for a lot of reps instead of like a 1 rep max. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. When people ask me how much you bench, but they don't anymore. But I'll just say I have no idea. I really
Yeah,
don't. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Sorry to disappoint you.
And honestly, I don't think that I've maxed on a barbell bench since I was probably 23, 24 years old. That's the last time I maxed out on bench way back when.
Oh, okay. My first one is, it'll surprise probably a lot of people. They kind of scratch their heads when I say it. No shoulder presses, no overhead shoulder
Yeah.
press, dumbbell, barbell, machine, none of that. Why? Several reasons. Mainly my front delts, they get pummeled with
Hmm.
presses, chest presses, and even with a lot of back movements, rows and chin ups that stresses the shoulder out. And especially my front deltoids, get a lot of work from chest presses,
Yeah.
whether it's dumbbells or some type of machine, hammer strength. And I've always had that little shoulder pinch, sort of that fatigue in my shoulder joint for as long as I can remember. And I even went to the point to where I was doing light dumbbell work for shoulder presses. And then one day I said I'm done with these. They don't benefit me.
Okay.
And I don't miss them. And my shoulders feel way better. They just feel stronger and more fresh and more stable when I do those pressing movements later on. And so I really don't miss them. I focus mainly on, side delts, rear delts, traps. That's pretty
Yeah.
much my shoulder routine. People kind of, again, they'll like, wow, you don't do shoulder press. That's another one of those, much like the
Yeah.
bench press, the ego lift.
Yeah.
They get into the rack or the squat rack and they set it up and they do the shoulder press with a ton of weight, and they're probably just
Yeah.
going about down to here and going,
Right. Are they
not
really
much
doing it?
movement.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, that
speaking
and
of,
I honestly don't have a replacement for it. I just took it out and
okay.
it's been relieved a lot of the pain.
Most people, when you talk about training shoulders, that's usually the first thing people will mention. Is some sort of military press. Well, we use either dumbbell, barbell, or machine. So the fact that you took it completely out, and that's usually the core of most people's shoulder routine. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's a lot like shoulders are a lot like knees, right? A lot of mileage
Hmm.
goes into the shoulders and knees, and shoulders just really get brutal punishment from everything.
Yeah.
I mean, even from a bicep curl, the shoulders are stabilizing,
Yep.
the upper arm and everything. So there's a lot of stress there. And again, it's not for everybody. If I were to train somebody, I would probably put them on some sort of dumbbell press, not a barbell press. It's just like you said with
Hmm.
chest, it's much more. There's more control, and you can find
Yeah.
your groove and everything else like that.
Yep.
So, what would be your second choice?
My second one, and it really hurts me to put this on the list, and this is just for me, is just a regular squat. I can't do squats anymore. It's my favorite exercise of all time. But as you know, I had back surgery this year, and I've still got some disc issues and some sciatic nerve stuff going on. And basically, my orthopedist said, if you want to at least try to maintain what little bit of stability you have in your back, don't do any more squats or
Yeah,
really have anything, you know, pushing down on your shoulders for your back. So I hate that I cannot do them anymore because I just absolutely love squatting. Um, but I can't. So that's okay. You just have to adapt. So, there's a couple things that I've done to kind of replace them. Now, I do leg press, but I do it correctly. It drives me crazy to see people load up a leg press with every plate in the gym and then do reps about that long. Um, I don't go really heavy on leg press at all, but I come all the way back and then pause and then up slow, so I feel like I still have pretty good leg workouts, but you just kind of have to make do if I can't do squats.
yeah. No, I feel your pain. I love squats. I don't
Yeah,
squat heavy at all, but of course, I don't have the back issues you do. But
yeah.
I know what you mean. There's nothing like a squat, right? It's a
It's the
full
best
body
exercise
thing.
ever to me.
Yeah. My next one, much like your squats, this one kind of hurts my heart that I kind of had to give it up. Is this is more of a how than the actual exercise itself, but wide grip pull-ups. So
Yeah.
I'm talking wide. I am talking as wide as I can get. I will get a
Mhm.
pull down bar and hook it over a chin up bar to get wider.
Right.
I'm talking
Right.
where almost my arms are out to the sides, that
Right.
wide. And love them. And I still do chin ups. I still do pull ups, but I had to bring my grip in a lot more, closely, elbows into the sides a little bit more to protect the shoulder. It was just giving me some shoulder strain, much like the
Yep.
dumbbell presses were the overhead press. But I grew up when I was 14 years old. I fixed an iron lifting bar between two trees in my backyard as a kid on hooks, and I would do 15 sets of chin ups every Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Hmm.
So I did behind wide grip behind the neck, 5 sets. I would do in front of the face, 5 sets wide grip, and then I'd do 5 sets close grip, reverse close grip chin ups. So I was mainly I would say I was born to do a pull up. I've done them my
Yeah,
whole life,
yeah.
but it was very, very hard. It broke my heart to like, I got to get rid of these. I can't do them
Well,
anymore. If I want,
yeah,
like you said, like if you want to prolong your lifting career, you're
yeah.
going to have to make these changes, right?
Well, that's the thing. If you're doing a wide grip, like think of the stretch, like you can see when you stretch out, it
Yeah.
puts all that stress right on those joints. Not great. It's great for your back, but I get it. I mean, look, I like doing pull-ups too. They're a great, great exercise, but I never go really wide when I do them at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's maybe one. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll just creep my my grip out a little by little over the. I don't know. So what would be? Let's see. We're on number three. What would be
Number
your
three.
third?
Number three, this is another one. I used to do a whole lot in my 20s and maybe into my early 30s, but I shut it down a long time ago because, again, with the wear and tear and the abuse that I've put on my body over the years, and again, I've got really bad shoulder issues, and it's upright rows. So you remember back in I guess the 90s, everybody did upright rows. You want to do the heaviest you could do, and keep those elbows up, and you think that's the only way you're going to get big traps and get your front delts, really big and round. But it's terrible on your shoulders. I mean, you got the strain coming up, and if your grip is not just right, if it's too tight or too wide, it puts even more stress on your shoulders. So I cut those out a long time ago, and I'm glad I did. As far as a replacement, I'm big on when I train shoulders. I'm kind of like you. I break it down per head. You got the
Right.
front, medial, and the rear. So I think front raises with either dumbbell or a preset bar, either one, and then just regular dumbbell shrugs. Both of those will do everything that an upright row would do, but it's less stress on
Yeah.
your joints.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I was just gonna say real quick that your flat barbell bench press and upright row are on my extended exercises I don't do anymore list.
Okay.
But I didn't
Okay.
include them here because I knew you'd cover them for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, those are two I don't do either anymore. And I used to love upright rows.
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah, that's
everybody loved them back in the day. It
yeah.
was it was a really popular exercise.
But yeah, I'm okay with giving that one up. So one of mine is my third one, bilateral leg extensions, meaning that I no longer do leg extensions with both legs at the same time. I do one leg at a time. And the reason being, and this is more gym specific because as you know, Mike, we talk about all the old equipment back in the old days. And
Yeah.
leg extension machines had the arm that was in the middle, and it would
Yep.
have pads on each side. So you'd fix your feet under the pads on each side of the arm, the working arm, the lever. And nowadays, most gym, not every gym, but most gyms have where the lever comes out to one side, usually the
Hmm.
right side, so you can get in and out of the machine better. It's all about comfort and things like that. But what that has done is it over time it bends the pad of the machine, and
Yep.
so one foot is sort of raised higher than the other foot as you're doing the exercise. Over time, and I don't know if any listener maybe can relate to this, but over time, both knees, one specifically, but more or less both knees started to become painful because there were reason being there was a strength imbalance. There was this imbalance in the arm, imbalance in the weight that each knee was undergoing. And so it created a strength imbalance over time. Now, think about this, you have a strength imbalance with that machine, then you move on to the leg press or the squat or some of these other exercises. You carry over that strength imbalance to those other exercises. So over time, you can have wear and tear in one joint. One joint's getting way more stress than the other.
Yeah.
Over time, it breaks down. For me, it was my left knee.
Hmm.
So I completely took them out in the beginning for about a month or two, and then I slowly added in very light sets of one-legged leg extensions. And I would say about 80-90% of the pain's gone away. And
Wow,
strength.
that's
It's
great.
always going to be there. I think, once you damage something, it's always going to
Yeah.
linger. But I'm very happy because I think it's a great exercise. And, I think it's, you know, we only do so many squats and leg presses. Sometimes we want to do a little isolation work,
Yeah.
and I think that's the easy way to do it. So
Yeah, and I have to. I love leg extensions. I like them a lot. I like to go slow and get to the top, flex them, and go down slow. It's awesome exercise. But I agree 100%. You know, we both of us have been to gyms all over the country, and when I travel, I like trying new places out. But almost every gym that you go into these days has, like you say, where the cam's on one end and the pad ends up crooked because everybody's using it. A lot of people may not use it correctly, and it throws you off. But man, the old type of extension was incredible because it was equal
yeah,
tension on each side, and it was just wonderful. So I miss those. I really miss the old ones.
yeah, a lot of the old machines I miss.
I know, I know.
I remember
You
the
know,
old
a lot of
Nautilus
times
pullover machine.
it's one of the greatest machines ever made,
Uh,
and nobody has them
no,
anymore.
they don't. So, what is your last? But we both have one more left here. Last exercise
Okay.
you don't do and why?
My last one, that might be a surprise to you, but I know the times we've been in the gym together, you've never seen me do it. Is a T-bar row.
Mm,
And
interesting.
I'm talking about the kind where you're at the angle with the pad in
Yep.
your chest
Oh
and
yes.
pulling up. So I've never enjoyed that. Again, when we were coming up, and then in the 90s and all that, that was another big exercise that people love to do. And so naturally, I used to do it just like everybody else did back in those days. But I never really got a great workout from that because I was so worried about, especially when you go somewhat heavy on it, that pad just drives right into your chest. And it always used to affect my breathing.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
would have a hard time getting my breathing right. And then, when you pull it up, I never felt like I got a good uh, extension coming back. I don't know. It's just hard to explain, but I don't enjoy that one. And I'll never, hey, you never say never, but I'll never do that one. But to replace it, and again, I like to keep things simple. I just like a regular dumbbell row. Just hand on the bench, come up, you can get a good extension, flex that muscle and come down. And to me, it allows me to breathe correctly. It doesn't hurt, and it does a great job of isolating the lats.
Well, yeah, and you can kind of sort of angle your torso and your
Yeah,
shoulder. You can get things in position. There's more
right.
freedom there to kind of find your own groove because my groove might be a little different than your groove or whatever
That's
with
right.
certain exercises. So, no, I
Yeah,
agree with you 100% about T-bar, the padded T-bar row, because I think what you're probably trying to allude to is like you're so worried about your breathing
yeah,
that you're not focused on the exercise.
yep,
So I remember back, when I started, my gym didn't have one of those. We had to do a T-bar, an old-fashioned T-bar row where you put the 45-pound bar in the
oh
corner,
yeah,
loaded one side up. You took the pulley row
yep,
handles and did that. But nowadays, it's harder to do nowadays with the gyms and things are kind of there's less space to kind of do that,
mhm,
and I don't know, it's harder to set up, and you're kind of I don't know, you're taking a bar from a bench or a squat
right,
rack, and
right.
you don't want to ruffle feathers, right? So
Yeah, you,
I
you
get
just
it.
you
I
can't do that.
agree. And but yeah, I think that, and like again, I think you're onto something with replacing a lot of the exercises with dumbbell exercises.
Yeah,
There's definitely a trend there. So last but not least, mine is more of a modification than actual replacement. But I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'2", long arms, long legs. So I'm not a great pusher. I'm a puller. I've always pulled a lot of weight, rows, chins, curls, and I would put Romanian deadlifts in that category of pulling. So I've always
yep,
been really good, not a good squatter, not a good leg presser, but a good RDL guy, whatever that
yeah,
is.
yeah.
So I would load tons of weight on the RDLs, tons of weight,
Hmm.
back when I was competing. And it got to the point where I didn't hurt myself, I didn't injure myself or anything like that, but it got to be where I just wasn't comfortable the next day or two after doing them. It made my whole body sore,
Mm.
like just head to toe, and it just wasn't worth it. And so now I keep them in. I go really light with them. I go very slow with them. I go a little deeper with them, and more mindful of the exercise coming up, trying to contract the hamstrings and glutes, things like that. Much like you talked about with your leg press, it's like not a ton of weight, but you're more mindful of the range of motion, the pace is slower and things like that, and focus on the muscle, not the joint. Because if anybody out there, if you do Romanian deadlifts, it's very easy. I say it's very easy to get strong at them because you can use leverage. You can use your body almost like a crane to pull the weight up and not really get a good workout with your hamstrings and glutes. I mean, you can use leverage and, balance and different things like that. So I wanted to kind of cut all that stuff out, and who knows, maybe if I kept doing them, I might have had an injury. I don't know, but I am much happier, and I'm getting similar results with a lighter weight. So.
No, that's good. And I think that's an important point too, is sometimes you have to modify some of your exercises. The things you may have done something a certain way in your 20s or 30s, but as you progress, I mean, your body changes. You have aches and pains. So yeah, I think that's great to modify. That's a good thing for people listening to remember. You don't have to do everything exactly like you did them, years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, and that'll take us to 3 takeaways. Actually, you kind of touched on a little bit here. One thing I would stress to people is stop thinking that you must do an exercise just because you did it, like you said, when you were 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
And also, don't do an exercise that everybody's doing just because everybody's doing it. Bench press is a great example of that. Nobody's putting a gun to your head saying you got to do a barbell bench press. So,
right.
And then also every now and then reevaluate your goals. So if, you're not 20 anymore trying to lift a ton of weight, maybe your priorities have changed. Maybe things have changed in your life. Your workouts change and your programming changes. So see how just reevaluate your goals. Like for me, for example, I started having a ton of wear and tear on the shoulders. Like, well, my goal isn't to have massive cannonball delts, so I don't need to be doing a ton of shoulder work.
Right.
And then lastly, I would say experiment with different exercises. Like again, I keep going to your examples of you're doing a lot. Replace a lot of exercises with dumbbell exercises. Maybe a machine. Just because it's a machine doesn't mean it's easy or it's comfortable or whatever, or it's even effective. Maybe that machine you don't fit right on it. Some machine, they're all universal machines, right? They're all the same. You can adjust a few things here and there, but not every machine is made for every person out there. So
that's a very good point.
Yeah. So that was fun. So I better not see you do any of those 4 exercises when I.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing squats and T-bar rows at the gym this afternoon. So come on over.
Well, good deal. All right, guys. I hope you got something out of that. That was fun for us to do, and hopefully we'll do some more top 3, 4, 5 kind of countdowns for you. So with that said, guys, we are out.